Namaskar, Swagatam, and welcome to the final day of Ayushman 2020, a festival that has celebrated Ayurveda, the science of life, over 5 weekends since starting on the 13th of November. This celebration is brought to you by the Center for Soft Power and all organizations of Indic Academy in collaboration with AVP Research Foundation and AVP's several organizations. It has been a great journey of learning about varied aspects of this ancient, timeless science of life. We have had speakers from across the country and globe, bringing together great minds who have deliberated on Ayurveda and life. The session today is titled Anubhava, Soliloquies from those who have engaged with this gift of Dhanmantri. We start with a video message specially sent to us by the High Commissioner of India to Canada. He has sent a video message since he is unavailable to be with us today. Sri Ajay Bisaria is a career diplomat and he assumed office in Canada in 2020. He is an IFS officer of the 1987 batch and was the private secretary to the Prime Minister from 1999 to 2004 and subsequently has held several important positions. He also has a great interest in Ayurveda. Can we have his message now, please?
Namaskar. My greetings to the chair and to the panelists. I'm delighted to be part of this event today. I commend the work being done by Soft Power to support and promote the science of Ayurveda in India and abroad. As the world reels under this new pandemic, this is a good time to take stock of how we look at health, disease, and living. Among the medical systems of the world, Ayurveda is one system that simultaneously focuses on all dimensions of health: body, mind, spirit. Most modern science and research confirms the wisdom of ancient Ayurvedic practices. We have seen greater global adoption and understanding of Ayurveda, but the regulatory systems still lag behind. I have joined in Canada this year as the Indian High Commissioner and recently had the opportunity to review the penetration of Ayurveda in Canada. I thought it would be useful to share a few observations with you on what I have seen in the last few months. First, prior to 2017, a huge void was felt in the Ayurvedic community for a common platform in Canada to share ideas as well as support and grow the science. Thus, the Ayurvedic Association of Canada was established in May 2017 as a common voice for Ayurveda in Canada. It supports and represents all the diverse groups dedicated to promoting Ayurveda in Canada. The AAC has representation in 5 Canadian provinces and over 200 registered members. It hosted its first conference in 2017 in Toronto, followed by another one in Vancouver in May 2018. As I see it, the AAC has some stiff challenges and a long journey ahead. Second, we have a number of organizations in Canada which have got together to promote Ayurveda. Apart from the Ayurveda Association of Canada, the Canadian Ayurvedic Members Alliance, CAMA, and Canadian Ayurvedic Practitioners Association, CAPA, Center for Ayurveda and Indian Systems of Healing, KESH. And these organizations, I think, reflect the deep interest in Ayurveda in Canada. Third, Ayurveda is still not recognized as a medical stream in Canada, unlike other streams of natural or alternative medicine. For instance, homeopathy was in a similar situation about 5 years back, but it was recognized by the regulatory body in Ontario, giving it a recognition of a medical practice for primary health care. We also have a 2016 MOU between the Central Council for Research in Homeopathy, the CCRH of the Ministry of Ayush, and the College of Homeopaths of Ontario, CHO, on cooperation in research and education in homeopathic medicine. Fourth, the penetration of Ayurvedic remedies in Canada is high, We have companies like the British Columbia-based Padamshri Naturals, which imports Ayurvedic formulations from US and India under brand name of Sevanti Ayurvedic series. Many big Ayurvedic companies from India are already exporting select product lines to Canada. Himalaya currently has 40 licensed products, Patanjali has 22, Dabur has 7. Fifth, we have had some discussions on establishing an academic chair of traditional Indian medicine, but this has not yet reached any fruition. Again, this is an idea we can take forward to promote research in Ayurveda. Sixth, an MOU between the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, IPC, and Integrative Health Institute of the University of Alberta on pharmacovigilance, a pharmacovigilance program of India is under discussion. So overall, it appears that the interest in Ayurveda varies across provinces in Canada, which have a fair deal of autonomy. This interest is high. It is also concentrated in states where we have higher presence of Indo-Canadians, for example, in Ontario, in British Columbia, in Alberta, in Quebec. In Canada, like globally, regulation has been behind the curve compared to adoption by the people of the ancient science of Ayurveda, which is getting more and more validated by modern research studies. We have also seen this phenomenon of the wide-scale public embrace of yoga in Canada. 1 in every 5 Canadian practices yoga and would certainly be interested to try the similar and healing powers of Ayurveda. I commend all efforts that support and promote the science and practice of Ayurveda. Best wishes and thanks to the team at Soft Power that has put this event together. I'm sure what you discussed today will deepen our understanding and respect for Ayurveda. I look forward to the answers. Namaskar.
We thank His Excellency for this very thought-provoking video that he has sent us. We have to all work towards seeing that Ayurveda becomes a mainstream practice all over the world and more so in our own country. We will now be releasing a much-awaited short film on Ayurveda. It's called Nadi, the Balance of Elements. It's been produced by the Center for Soft Power and Indica Pictures in collaboration with Radha Kalpa Dance Company. The choreography and direction is by Rukmini Vijay Kumar. The director of photography is Anup J. Kat. The second unit DP is Vivian Ambrose. Music direction, programming and arrangement, Sai Shravana. The music composition is by Dr. Rajkumar Bharati. And we have had a lot of people who have supported us in producing this film. Our co-sponsors, our Heritage and Not-for-Profit Trust, Sri Ravi Manta, who is a holistic healer. We have Sri Anshul Saigal, who is an individual who has always supported any such activity. Then we have Darshan International, a very popular agarbatti manufacturer. Then we have Best Innovation University. The Chancellor of the university is Dr. Rupa Vasudevan, and they have always been supportive of any such activity that brings any of our heritage to light. And then we have Iga Juices from Sumit Nanda of Iga Juices from Singapore also has co-sponsored us. Our venue partners are Madhavi Greens Private Limited and Summer Island Maldives. And the list is endless. Of course, we have violin by Mbar Kannan, sitar by Kishore Kumar, tabla Kanjira, frame drum by Sai Shravanam himself, vocals by Savita Sai, and all the mixing, mastering, and recording was done in the by Sai Shravan at the Resound India Studios in Chennai. The video editor was Amarnath, line producer Shibani Naidu, lights, cinema Angadi, photography by Sunilino, research assistant Aparna Sridhar, and Vijay Lakshmi Vijay Kumar. We will have the choreographer and director explain about the film once you have seen the film. And I must say the journey of this film has been very intense, and it has been a wonderful experience for everybody who has been involved in it. And we bring that film to you just now. Indica Pictures, Danji was to be with us, but he's unfortunately not been able to come because his mother is not in the best of health. Once again, we thank all our co-sponsors and our sponsors for helping us bring this production to you. I will allow our senior editor Aparna to introduce Rukmini Vijay Kumar, who will give you a small description of how she came about this concept.
Thank you so much, Akka. And it is with a feeling of poignancy that we come to this final session of Ayushman 2020. We didn't aspire to, have such a beautiful and very invigorating dive into Ayurveda. And it's been very fulfilling for all of us. And this, of course, I think is the proverbial icing on the cake and a much looked forward to release. And with Rukmini, of course, even how much ever you anticipate how brilliant the film will turn out, it is she sets the bar so high in both creativity and execution that we can't help but be stunned once again. Thank you so much, Rukmini. This festival is dedicated also to our very dear friend, her father, Vijay Kumar ji, whom we have missed terribly in this 1 month. And it's a privilege for all of us working with Srimati Vijay Lakshmi and with Rukmini to see the dedication and the effort that they have put in to bring this out in time for our last session. We all of us thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your deep dedication to not just Ayurveda, but all of our cultural arts, and most importantly, to our dear country. Rukmini is a Bharatnatyam dancer, and her approach to Bharatnatyam is dedicated, rigorous, and layered, as is evident in all of her stage performances as well as her short videos. She has presented her work as a soloist all over the world, including venues such as the Jacob's Pillow Festival, Drive East in New York City, and the Corso Theatre. She is the artistic director of Radha Kalpa Dance Company and the director of Lashwa, an art space in Bangalore. She is the founder of the Radha Kalpa method, a pedagogical system of training classical Indian and particularly Bharatnatyam dancers. Still very young, she still has made time to be a guru and teacher to young artists and pass on whatever she knows and has learned to those younger and willing to learn. She has studied Bharatnatyam under Guru Narmada, Guru Padmini Rao, and Guru Sundari Sanakti. Rukmini holds a BFA degree from the Boston Conservatory in ballet and in modern dance. She has studied acting at the New York Film Academy, Los Angeles, while also learning under director Prakash Belwadi during her stay in India. She has studied subjects on fitness training at UCLA and anatomy and physiology at the Boston University. If we had to choose the best, the most fit and appropriate protagonist for a film on yoga and Ayurveda, we couldn't go wrong with Rukmini. Her life itself is one of very rigorous training, athleticism, and deep creativity. And her process of creation, which is very evident in the film, is both traditional and contemporary and gives a very new, fresh look at Ayurveda. Welcome, Rukmini. And if you could please share a few thoughts on how you have attained balance both in your life as well as in your art.
I think that I'm a Bharatnatyam performer primarily. Though I did study in college some modern and a little bit of ballet. I think that and my roots are very traditional and Indian, like both in terms of upbringing as well as in terms of the art that I practice. Over the past few months with the films that both Indica Pictures and CSP has commissioned, I have tried to find new avenues of expressing this very traditional performative art form and also explore the layers that it can offer in a medium other than that of direct visual performance. And it's interesting because as a traditional Bharatanatyam dancer, we are always placed in the middle of two things: a modern world, and then a traditional, very old, ancient gestural aesthetic that exists within the form itself. And it's important to find the balance between the two artistically in order to live in a contemporary world, communicate to a contemporary audience, and still believe in the values and the systems and the vocabulary of the form itself. That being said, this is a, I think this is a personal artistic kind of choice and journey that I have been traversing to find that balance between something that's traditional and something that's modern. What interested me about the Ayurveda film is the very same thing, is that it is a very traditional old practice, but because of its wholesomeness in its approach to well-being, it is very relevant in a world today. And I thought it's the same thing in terms of how I see my Bharatnatyam. And Ayurveda is the same thing, like placed within a modern world, in our city lives where we don't have the time to think about changing lifestyle very often, where it's easier for us to just pop a pill and continue to do our work because of the demands. And we see the repercussions of that in larger populations because of health effects and mental health and all these other things. Ayurveda still stands strong in the sense that it looks at body, mind, and spirit, very rightly, as the High Commissioner just said a little while ago. And I think that I approached the film from this perspective of looking at how we lead our lives in a modern urban setting, where we look at goals in very strict parameters, both technologically and digitally, and in terms of working in paper. So I use that as a parallel, and how because of how we view life with these very limited goals, and how we define ourselves from these goals that we set, there are these imbalances that are caused. And in Ayurveda, it is the imbalances that occur in the elements, as I understand from my reading the past few months, is the elements which causes the doshas and the imbalances within our body. So once we have a quiet mind and the blessings of Dhanmantri because of that, and the healing processes of Ayurveda take effect, these elements balance within us, and then we find a cohesive living, which doesn't come from just necessarily just popping a pill and an immediate effect, but comes from more changing a lifestyle or approaching life completely differently. I don't know if I've found that balance yet completely in my life, but I try every day and aspire to find it, uh, hopefully through my art and through reading and understanding some of these things about our culture. Thank you so much. I'd like to say that with CSP and Indica Pictures, it's wonderful to work with them because they allow an artist to explore and grow. And it's very few organizations that do that. Thank you.
Thank you. We now, Akka, are you here?
Yes, we'll now move on to our second section, Anubhava, soliloquies, where there will be people who will bring to you their experience and their involvement with this wonderful science of life, Ayurveda. I will now allow Aparna to take it forward, and and Varsha to introduce the speakers and take the evening forward. We have with us Hari Kiran. Who is the life behind Indic Academy, but he said he will make his remarks at further down the session. Dr. Ram Kumar also has said he will join us, so we will have them both with us soon.
Varsha?
Yeah. Namaste to all. It is my pleasure to introduce to you all this evening's panelists. First, we have Dr. Dhaval Dhru. A few words about him. Dr. Dhaval Dhru is an Ayurvedic and yoga practitioner, consultant, and educator in Seattle. He is a retired ENT surgeon and a retired associate professor and chair of Department of Ayurvedic Sciences in Boston University in Kenmore. He's a faculty member at Mount Madonna Institute College of Ayurveda. He is a past president of the National Ayurvedic Medical Association, and he used to serve on the NAMA board, several committees, and on the NAMA credentialing board. Over to you, Dr. Dhaval.
Namaskar, everybody. I'm honored to be here, and I want to thank the organizers, the Soft Power and AVP Research Foundation, to invite me for this esteemed get-together. I also would like to congratulate and commend the organizers for putting this Ayushman 2020 webinar series, whereby eminent Ayurvedic scholars, educators, and practitioners have been brought together to share and create awareness, not only in India, but globally, about Ayurveda's rich history, the contemporary status, and the future evolution. I've been asked to talk about my interest and my experience in Ayurveda. The natural question that I've been asked often is how or why, having been trained in Western medical science and practicing ENT surgery for over 20 years, I became interested or drawn towards Ayurveda. The answer is very simple. I got frustrated with the conventional medical science as it changed from a noble profession to a healthcare industry. I also observed that many of my friends and family members who started having health issues were being prescribed more and more medications with resultant increasing side effects without any significant help in their primary conditions. As a result, I thought that there should be, and I should look into some other alternatives. And coming from India originally, with my background and heritage, naturally I decided to explore and study Ayurveda formally. So today in my presentation, I would like to look at some of the fundamental Ayurvedic principles and concepts from a comparative perspective, from the viewpoint of a Western trained medical doctor, and how it is different in how it is appealing to somebody like me with my background. So first of all, let's talk about the concept of health. As far as the Western medicine or conventional medicine is concerned, the health is nothing else but absence of disease. As long as you don't have any symptoms, and as long as you're functioning reasonably well in your day-to-day activities, you're considered healthy. However, as we all know and have heard more than once, the definition of health, according to Ayurveda, is totally different. It is not just absence of disease. As Charak Samhita, it has been mentioned, the definition of health is so beautifully given that samadosha samagnischa samadhatu malakriya prasannatmendriya manaha swasthaiti abhidhiyate. Even WHO has accepted part of this as the definition of health. So in this beautiful definition, it says that when all of our physiological functions are normal, along with pleasant state of mind and blissful state of Atman, the soul or the spirit, then and then only one is established in health. So the Western medicine does not have this holistic approach. Look at the definition of health. According to the Ayurvedic science, it is described as Sharirendriya Sattvatma Samyogo Dhari Jivitam. So it is not just the body, not just the mind, but the life is the tripod of body, mind, and spirit. The Western medicine has started to include more and more the component of mind and the mind-body medicine. However, the third tripod, the third integral component of life is still not being accepted in day-to-day Western medical profession. If you look at the goals of Ayurveda, the swasthasya swastharakshanam aturasya vikara prashamanam cha means basically the aim of Ayurveda is health maintenance, health promotion, and disease prevention. As far as the prevention is concerned in the Western medicine, the only thing we know is early detection and immunization. Otherwise, there is not much being offered in terms of health prevention. However, with the current situation with COVID-19, more and more advice that's being given is more in line with what the Ayurvedic understanding has been about our dinacharya, ritucharya, diet, ahar, vihar, etc. The concept of prakriti is so unique, according to Ayurveda, that each and every one of us has a unique individual constitution. And because of this predominance factor that we develop imbalances, or we're prone to develop imbalances in certain areas in certain ways at certain time, and the approach needs to be individualized. The Western approach is more of a generalization approach, one pill for all, so to say. If you come to me for any infection, I would be thinking about giving you some kind of antibiotics. So lately, though, in certain field of Western medicine, there have been increasing interest about individualized medicine based on some of the genetic background of the person. Talking about the concept of Agni, Ama, and the digestive health, which is so foundational in Ayurvedic understanding about the health. Only recently, the Western medicine has now started talking about importance of gut health because of the microbiome that we have come to understand, importance of gut-mind connection, importance of gut immunity, etc. But the Ayurveda is always thought that Agni, when it is deranged, causes Ama, which is the root cause of any and all imbalances. Another concept in Ayurveda is about chikitsa, Shamana chikitsa and Shodhana chikitsa. The Shodhana chikitsa is a hallmark for Ayurvedic management of any condition, as well as maintaining the health. In Western medicine, we do not have that concept of Shodhana chikitsa. Sorry if I misspoke about hallmark of Ayurvedic medicine, the Shodhana chikitsa. In Western concept, we don't have, in the Western medicine, we don't have that concept of Shodhana chikitsa. We mainly rely on Shamana chikitsa and either give the antibiotics for infectious diseases or give the pharmaceutical agents to manage, though unsuccessfully, the non-communicable and metabolic disorders. So I can go on and on about the differences and highlight why and how the Ayurveda is so beneficial in health maintenance, health promotion, disease prevention, as well as disease management. However, having said that, no system is perfect. Even the Western medical system has something to offer, especially if we are having any acute medical problems, acute emergency, trauma, heart attack, stroke, etc. There is nothing else like the Western medicine to help us to stabilize ourselves. But as far as the chronic diseases are concerned, as far as the non-communicable diseases are concerned, the metabolic diseases are concerned, Ayurveda is far excellent in managing those and helping us to overcome those imbalances. I don't know how much I'm doing with time, but I don't take too much of the time. But the second point that I would also like to make, which kind of what we heard at the opening remark and the message from the Canadian High Commissioner or the ambassador. Similarly, in United States of America, the Ayurveda is becoming more and more popular. Even more Western trained medical doctors who do not have Indian heritage have also started embracing Ayurveda as part of the integrative medicine. We have now our National Ayurvedic Medical Association. This is its 20th year in established and is promoting Ayurveda significantly all throughout the nation. We have more than 1,200 professional members, and overall, including the organizational members, about 1,600 members. We have more than 22 Ayurvedic schools offering 37 different programs, and these are the schools that are approved and recognized by NAMA. We have also offered now the standardized educational curriculum that the schools have to follow. We have started rolling out the national certification exams, and we are in the process of establishing the accrediting body, the national accrediting body that would accredit the educational institutions. So we're moving forward to try to bring the Ayurveda in USA in line with other healthcare modalities. It's a long journey. It requires significant effort, but we are making the stride one step at a time. So having said that, I would stop here. I would be open to any questions later on or now. And thank you again very much for inviting me and to be part of this. To conclude, I must say that Ayurveda is very profound, logical, scientific, as well as a practical science to maintain health and manage disease. I've been asked many times if Ayurveda is scientific or if it does have scientific basis. And my answer to them emphatically is yes. What I tell them that it is the modern science that is not fully evolved to validate the Ayurvedic concepts. But as we look how the science is evolving, the current research in genomics validates the Ayurvedic concept of Prakriti. The current microbiome research that's going on, it validates the importance of GI health and the Agni, or the digestive fire. So as we go along and as the science evolves, we would be showing and showcasing Ayurveda more and more. However, I do think that for people to accept and embrace Ayurveda without any reservation, we need to make significant effort to show the validity by producing valid clinical research in the Ayurvedic field. So in short, Ayurveda is relevant today as it was in the past and would continue to be the medicine of the future as an integrative medicine. It's extremely important that we continue this work to create this awareness, not only in India, where it also is needed, as well as globally. So thank you again, and all the best wishes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dhru, for your very, very thought-provoking words. We will have a short Q&A session at the end. We will now move on to the next speaker, Dr. Abhishek Joshi. Dr. Abhishek Joshi was born and raised in an Indian family where Ayurveda was in daily practice. He was born in Somnath and he has imbibed the powerful spiritual vibes right from his childhood. The practice of yoga and meditation was instilled at a very tender young age in his life by his mother, who was a yoga teacher at a local school in India. This beginning inspired him to pursue a degree in Ayurveda. His keen interest in yoga and meditation was also very much alive, and he has become a skilled meditation and yoga teacher. Dr. Joshi has taken Art of Living happiness programs for participants from 12 plus countries. He's practiced and taught Ayurveda and yoga at a traditional Ayurveda hospital in Kerala for a year before he was appointed as the chair of Ayurveda in a 53-year-old university in Bali. With that short introduction, we hand it over to you, Dr. Abhishek. Thank you.
Namaste. Am I audible to everyone?
Yeah, you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Nidhe sarva vidyanam vishaje bhavaroginam guruve sarva lokanam dakshinamurtaye namaha. My pranams to all the dignitaries who spoke and who are going to speak after me. I'm going to talk something about my personal experiences, my story and my work, what is happening related to Ayurveda in Indonesia. So while I was preparing my talk, I thought pictures will speak louder than the words I speak. So I have done some pictorial collections of the work which I have done in Bali, Indonesia. Just to start with the slide share. I hope my slides are visible to everyone. These are the wonderful words with which I was greeted first when I landed in 2014 in the wonderful island of Ayurveda from Jamnagar. And I was appointed as a chair of Ayurveda there in the university since 2014. And I'm working with Ayurveda for Ayurveda in Indonesia. Now, WHO Global Report on Traditional and Complementary Medicine 2019 published from the country of Indonesia, it tells that 2010 data tells that 40 to 59% of the population is using indigenous TM practices and herbal medicines. And out of that, one practice is Ayurvedic medicine. Now, getting this word itself on the WHO referendum from the country of Indonesia is a big thing because Ayurveda is not yet recognized in Indonesia, but it will be hopefully be soon recognized as a system of medicine from the country of Indonesia, because both the countries, even though separated by long border, they have a common tradition. This is a picture of Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi and the President of Indonesia, Sri Joko Widodo, flying kites when Sri Modi ji visited Indonesia and Jakarta. So there are many common things apart from kites. Ramayana, Mahabharata, Gayatri Mantra, Trikala Sandhya. These are very common words you will hear in Indonesia, and especially in Bali when you travel there. So for me, the challenge was to connect the dots. How can I connect the dots of Ayurveda as well with this country, which is thousands of kilometers far, and connect it to the ancient Ayurveda from India. So when I traveled the country, the villages especially, they already have a system of medicine existing there, the traditional system called as Jamu. This Jamu is nothing but the kashayams, what is prevalent in Ayurveda practice in India. And this is another version, the fresh kashayams administered in the rural villages of Indonesia, which is still existing, still very popular. And like it happened in India during COVID-19 times when it started, the herbal market grew up like anything. So was in Indonesia, where ginger and turmeric were almost vacant. It was not available in the supermarkets in Indonesia because it was all used for making jamu, the herbal medicine, to immunize the system. The healing out of jamu is already existing in Indonesia since long, and it is almost similar to the kashayam preparations of what we have in Ayurveda. Now, my work basically is in Bali in this university, Universitas Hindu Indonesia. This is a 58 years old university now, and it is one of the most private universities existing in Bali in Indonesia. And here we are successfully constructed and established Griya Sehat Ayurveda. This is what a traditional center will be known in Indonesia as, Griya Sehat, a home where health is delivered, Griya Sehat Ayurveda. So this was constructed, and we are very lucky to get it inaugurated by none other than our Ayush Minister, Shri Yashosripad Nayak ji, in his auspicious presence, along with the Ambassador of India to Jakarta, CGI Bali. We had also a conference, which was the first international conference in Southeast Asia specific to Ayurveda, with all the speakers from Southeast Asia. So this was inaugurated, welcomed by the local community in Bali, in Indonesia, and by the Health Ministry of Indonesia. At the same moment, we had this international conference wherein we had an MOU, a memorandum of understanding all of us know, it is the first institute of national importance of Ayurveda in India. So we had an MOU with the university at the same moment, and the inauguration of the Hospital of Ayurveda. It was widely covered by the local newspapers in Indonesia and well received. We had the director of traditional system of medicines from the Ministry of Indonesia, Dr. Ina Rosalina, who very well welcomed this move of establishing an Ayurveda center, something related to Ayurveda, the growth of Ayurveda in Indonesia. Now, this is what welcomes you at the doors of Griya Sehat Ayurveda. Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, I had to connect some dots, so the local people can understand this science in a better way. They don't take it as an alien thing. So I was going through a lot of history of what is existing in Bali, the beliefs. Yeah, wherever you go to any place, like in Bali, you have always this praying place. Yeah. So I wanted to play something. So I was discussing with the Vice Chancellor and the team that what should we put to connect the things. And I came up with this idea. Many of you might already be recognizing it. It's the Samudra Manthana, and it's very well popularly known as Mandaragiri in Indonesia. It's nothing but the Samudra Manthana, which gave rise to poison and finally the nectar. Yeah, the Deva Dhanmantri who came out with the pot of nectar. So this story is very much popular in the local history, the local stories, the mythological stories of Bali and Indonesia. So it was more easier for me to connect and to start some establishment related to Ayurveda for the locals over there. And this is the statue of Dhanmantri, Sri Dhanmantri, which was carved, which was made by the local Indonesians. And Indonesia is very well known for its art, for its culture. And so beautiful is the statue. I was wondered. I just gave the description of the statue and they came out with a very beautiful statue there of Deva Dhanmantri. This may be the only statue of Dhanmantri existing in Indonesia. Now, locally in Bali, as I mentioned, Indonesia has Jamu, which is more of a Kashaya-based formulations. In Bali, the system, the traditional system of medicine is called as Ushadha Bali. Yeah. Many ears are ringing because the word Ushadha is very much synonymous to word Aushadha in Sanskrit, which means medicine. And they have many ancient books of related to Ushadha Bali. Yeah, like Ayurveda has Samhitas. The Ushadha Bali has Lontars. Yeah, is the scriptures written by ancient seers or ancient doctors or ancient Vaidyas. Yeah, they call it as Balian in Indonesia. They have written the information on this palm leaves. Yeah, they call it as lontar, yeah, because it is as an old Javanese word for rontal, means the leaf of a rontal tree. This is the script. It is written, most of the time it's written in old Javanese Kuno language. The language is perishing. Many of people don't read it, but luckily in my university, we have professors, teachers who can read it, can interpret it. So we're trying to find a synergy. We're going to establish a synergy between the two systems of medicine, which are anciently, they are connected. They are one and the same. If I go through the history, the structure of these lontars, which is existing in Indonesia, I find many similarities between Ayurveda and Ushadha Bali. Almost like 70% of the medicines which are mentioned in those textbooks in Bali have similar references with Ayurveda. Only thing is they lack the reasoning sometimes, which Ayurveda science can readily provide them with the strong logic behind Ayurveda medicine. They basically believe in the Pancha Mahabhutas, like Ayurveda believes in, Prithvi, Ap, Tej, Vayu, Akasha. Now there are specific books written by the ancient knowledgeable people, as I told, the rishis, maybe rishis of Indonesia, and they have written these lontars specific to many diseases, like Ushadha Rare deals with pediatrics. Ushadha Dalam is all about internal medicine, Kaya Chikitsa, as we know. Ushadha Edan is all about psychiatry, Graha Chikitsa of Ayurveda. Ushadha Kachachar are related to smallpox treatments. Ushadha Chikuladi is related to dermatology and Ayurveda. Ushadha Kamatus is related to venerology, and Ushadha Manak is related to Prasuti Tantra of Ayurveda. So there are many such similar concepts, many such similar understandings, but a strong establishment has to be written down and published And that's what our efforts are at the university. This is our pharmacy, where we are giving a mix of, again, Indian Ayurveda herbs and a mix of Indonesian local herbs, because Indonesia is a country which is rich in flora and fauna, and almost many of Ayurveda medicines are available in Indonesia. So we identified around 50 plus local herbs in Indonesia, which are Ayurveda medicine, and we are dispersing those to our patients coming at Griya Sehat Ayurveda. This is the herbal tea, which we recently manufactured, and we distributed it freely to the people of local in Bali as well as in Indonesia for immunity building in COVID times. This was the tea distribution drive, which we started at Griya Sehat Ayurveda. This is another very phenomenal thing which happened, especially with the Health Ministry of Indonesia. Is the Ministry of Indonesia was looking into the framework of traditional system of medicine. As you can see in the center is Dr. Ina Roslina. She is the head of traditional system of medicine under the Ministry of Health in Indonesia. And she wanted to have a framework of the local traditional system of medicine to be established in Indonesia. So they had invited a naturopathy doctor, a very senior naturopathy doctor, a Chinese medicine doctor, and I was invited as a speaker on Ayurveda there. And we intensively discussed the existing system of medicines in Indonesia, how Ayurveda can help to build up a synergy. It's not about overpowering, but it's about working in synergy and working for the upliftment of local system of medicines. So we had a very nice, fruitful discussion. This was in the end of 2019 that this panel of discussion happened. There were many dignitaries from the Health Ministry of Indonesia. Apart from the Director of Traditional Medicine, there was the official the Secretary to the Health Minister of Indonesia. Also, he was a part of that. The head of the hospitals in Indonesia, the government hospitals of Jakarta, he was also a part of the panel discussion. And the ideas on Ayurveda were very much well appreciated by the whole panel. Now, this is again a very good move by the Ayush Ministry in India, wherein they invited the ASEAN countries, the representative of ASEAN countries, to Jamnagar, which is again a premier institute of Ayurveda. So this is again in 2019, mid 2019, when this conference happened. And the director of traditional medicine, she visited Jamnagar, and she was very keen after the whole program, and she was sending me photos telling that I have visited your institute, and we are very much hopeful about Ayurveda in Indonesia as well. So this is a very, very phenomenal move by the Ayush Ministry, and she was not just Dr. Ina, but the whole panel was so much energized, enthusiastic by such a conference happening in India, in the Premier Institute of Ayurveda. This is something related to the Ayurveda Day celebration. Again, we were working with the soft power and public diplomacy. We had organized a poster competition because everything is online, nothing is happening physically. So instead of our regular seminars and conferences, we had an online poster presentation competition organized in Indonesia, and there were more than 100 plus participants, registrations, with 43 plus poster presentations on Ayurveda. These are local Indonesian people participating in the competition. And we had participants, not just from Ayurveda students, but we had participants from pharmacy. We had participants from arts college who had shown a deep interest in knowing and learning the science of Ayurveda. These are a few posters which were so much attractive. So I thought of just having a slide on that as well. These are presented by local Indonesians. This is a short video of our celebration of Ayurveda Day in the year 2019, where we have a small herbal garden established in front of our Griya Sehat Ayurveda, and a plantation drive of Ayurveda herbal medicines was initiated in Bali. these are the online classes which are happening in the island because of everything is offline. The work is going online. You know, still Ayurveda is popular, is working. It's all about finding the right synergy. When I heard of this Anubhava, the concept of Anubhava, I thought it will be me alone struggling there in Indonesia. When I went there, I'm still working there. But I did not find this loneliness. It's all about synergy, which I found in the country, in the island of Bali. And I thank you, the organizers, for inviting me to be a part of this online webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joshi, for your wonderful presentation. Next, we have Ms. Aadya Joshi. Aadya Joshi is the founder of The Right Green, an initiative that champions the cause of biodiversity restoration through research, education, and advocacy on high biodiversity supporting native plants. She has created the first of its kind research-based database of plant-insect feeding relationships for the Indian subcontinent and developed a biopower index to help landscapers, gardeners, and civic authorities plant the best biodiversity supporting plants for their region. This information on native plants is made available to students and civic authorities through specially designed workshops, games, planting guides, and multimedia content. Aadya is a high school student at the American School of Bombay. She has received numerous awards, including the Children's Climate Prize, North American Association of Environmental Education Global 30 Under 30 Award, and Earth Day Network Rising Star and the Pollination Project Grant Award. We look forward to your presentation, Ms. Aadya. Over to you.
Hi. Okay. Sorry. Hi. Thank you so much for inviting me to this conference on Ayurveda. My name is Aadya Joshi, and I'm a high school student in Mumbai, and I'm the founder of The Right Green, an initiative that combines research and action and aims to restore urban biodiversity by planting the right native plants. But today, I hope to get you to think a little bit about the life in our science and about the native plants that provide us with the herbs in Ayurveda, and new research that reveals native plants that not only provide health benefits for us, but are also vital for healthy ecosystems. One of the major problems that we face today is the rapid loss of our biodiversity. And research reveals that one of the major reasons for this is not planting native trees. Take, for instance, one of the most common trees in India, the gulmohar tree. It supports only 3 species, whereas palash, which is native, supports over 70 butterfly and moth species. Another example is the copperpod, which supports, again, only 3 species, whereas amalthas, which is native, supports around 60 butterfly and moth species again. Our scientific data shows that native trees like mango, teak, amalthas, jamun, banyan, peepal, and others support much more biodiversity than non-native trees. While commonly planted foreign trees like rain trees, gliricidia, gulmohar, silver oak, copperpods, eucalyptus, and bougainvilleas do not support our biodiversity and are causing them to decline rapidly. And there is a reason for this. The leaves of all plants contain phytochemicals, and those are poisonous for insects that eat the leaves, unless these insects have co-evolved with the plants. And the insects, in turn, provide special benefits that help native plants thrive. With a large number of non-native plants we are planting, it now becomes a huge problem. But in this problem lies the solution. If we plant the right native trees, then we can bring back the insects and birds and other biodiversities. And this is exactly what I found that a professor in the US called Dr. Douglas Tallamy had done, and whose research I've used a lot of in preparing my own database. A database of 15,000 plant-insect feeding relationships for different ecoregions of India. And we now have city-wise lists of high biodiversity supporting plants. I also devised a new biopower index that ranks plants according to their ability to support biodiversity for each ecoregion. This makes it easy for native for landscapers and planters to know what to plant and what to avoid. I now regularly conduct workshops for kids and for civic authorities, educating them on native plants. We also have identification guides, an animated video, and action challenges. And along the way, I've received a lot of recognition for this work as well. A lot of what our research reveals is that many of the plants that we use in Ayurveda, like Jamun and Bahira and Arjuna and Amla, are very crucial for healthy ecosystems. So it's very important that we plant more of them. We are encouraging the government to plant only native trees in our cities and all their greening projects. Please support our efforts by signing the petition and spreading the word about trees that support our health and our ecosystems. You can search for local for vocal trees on change.org or get the link on our website. Thank you.
Thank you, Aadya, for that presentation. We have some of the speakers who've sent their messages over video. The first one is Emily Reed. She sent her message from the UK. Emily is dedicated to supporting people to find health, contentment, and meaning in their lives through Ayurveda and yoga. She has been integrating Ayurveda in her daily life since 2007. As a certified Ayurvedic health counselor, she supports her clients through Agni therapy, cleansing their 5 senses, Dinacharya and Ritucharya. She's honored to have encountered what she believes in true art and science of living, and to share this with others. In her view, Ayurveda is the way in which each individual can make a harmonizing contribution to a space around them. Kotiji, can we have Emily's video, please?
Hello, I'm Emily Reed and I'm an Ayurvedic health counsellor based in London and in the county of Sussex in the UK. I've been working with Ayurvedic principles and practices since 2007. I first encountered Ayurveda in its birthplace in India, and it was really from there that my curiosity and inspiration grew. Ayurvedic principles and practices such as Dinacharya, cleansing of the 5 senses, Rutacharya, honouring the seasonal rhythms, and supporting Agni are an integral part of my day-to-day living. And it is, as an Ayurvedic health counsellor, these practices that I share with clients in my private client clinics, in my private consultations, and also as a yoga teacher. I offer workshops and teach students of yoga on yoga teacher trainings about the Ayurvedic principles that apply or can be applied to the yoga practices themselves. What I love most about Ayurveda is that it is a perennial science, and it is truly Shashwat, that unchanging principle that makes it applicable and just as relevant today as it was hundreds and hundreds of years ago. What I also love is that it is founded upon the science, the rhythms, and the cycles of nature. And it sees each and every one of us not as separate from our natural environment, but part of it. My latest offerings have been group monthly sessions via Zoom, particularly in this current climate of COVID that we've experienced this year. And I've put together a program called Ayurveda, which is really bringing the very practical tools into people's homes and into their kitchens as ways in which they can support themselves day in, day out. These sessions also go way beyond just the kind of practicalities. In my view, Ayurveda opens each and every soul that encounters it to the possibilities and opportunities they have as far as making a positive contribution to the seemingly uncontrollable landscape of life and world around them, especially at this time. So I firmly believe that just as Ayurveda entered the world at a time when disease was rife amongst society, hundreds or a couple of thousand years ago now, I believe that it is now and will continue to have the Renaissance and be heralded as the true science of life that it really is. I am totally honoured and feel so much gratitude to have encountered this incredible science and to be fortunate enough to bring it into my daily life.
Next up, we have Elizabeth Ibsen joining from the USA. She's also here with us today. She's the founder of Padma Collective in New York. Elizabeth takes an integrative approach to treating seropositive erosive rheumatoid arthritis through classical Ayurveda and conventional Western allopathic medicine. She hopes to leverage her background in globalization strategy and cross-sector partnership building for sustainable development at the UN, multinational corporations and NGOs to establish dialogue between the finest Ayurvedic physicians, rheumatologists, and conventional Western specialists worldwide. Her intention is to make it easier for others to take an integrative approach to managing rheumatoid arthritis, regardless of the person's country of residence. Welcome, Elizabeth. And Kotichi, can we have a video, please?
Greetings. My name is Elizabeth Abeson, and I'm in remission from seropositive erosive rheumatoid arthritis, otherwise known as Amavat. And I'm making it my life's mission to spread the magic, so to speak, and make it a lot easier for others than it's been for myself to be able to turn to classical Ayurveda as a healing modality, regardless of a person's country of residence. And my logic behind that is that rheumatoid arthritis knows no boundaries, no socio-political, economic, religious, etc. boundaries. So why should we constrain ourselves? I'm doing this through several different means, trying to mainstream Ayurveda. As Krishna Kumarji would say, I'm trying to propagate Ayurveda globally. Doing this through art because it's actually my background way before international development and globalization strategy. And I believe that introducing people to Ayurveda through art is a way to do it in a palatable and non-confrontational way. Additionally, I am establishing partnerships between research institutions and healing institutions in India that are Ayurvedic and their rheumatological counterparts overseas. Lots of other things I'm working on, but the important thing is today is just to wish you luck on your journey and to hopefully find out more about what you're doing and support you so that we can really strengthen this global Ayurvedic community. Please reach out to me if you're interested at www.thepadmacollective.com. Thanks so much and enjoy your class.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We'll hear more from you towards the end. Next, we have Emily Glasser from USA again. She's joining from New Mexico. She sent a video from New Mexico, sorry. Emily is the founder of Agni Ayurveda in Santa Fe. She's a clinical practitioner of Ayurveda specializing in Panchkarma cleaning and wisdom keeper of Vedic astrology. Emily was trained by Ayurveda doctors and healing masters who guided her to fine-tune her capacity to perceive the many levels of reality that make up our human experiences. She has a background in clinical nursing and teaches and lectures internationally. She also spends a year or so every time whenever she visits in Vaidya in Coimbatore. Kotichi, can we have Emily's video, please?
Hello, my name is Emily Glasser, and I have been a student of Ayurveda and Jyotish for over 10 years. I have a deep gratitude in my heart for all of my teachers, and especially for Dr. Ram Das of Vaidya Healing Village. I live in the US, and my practice is a combination of Ayurveda and Jyotish, which facilitates deep transformation and healing for my clients. I work with Panchakarma cleansing, as well as run a year-long course called Wise Living, which is devoted to the healing practices of Dinacharya. I am so honored to be on this path, I have seen these sciences create miracles in the lives of my clients, my family, as well as support my own health and well-being. I look forward to a lifetime of study and deepening in this wisdom. Namaste.
Next, we have Asta Ketukrin. I hope I've pronounced her name correctly, and my apologies if I haven't. She's the Vice President of Committee of Ayurveda, member of Ethics and Procedures Committee in Lithuanian Chamber of Health, Lifestyle and Natural Medicine. She's been a lecturer at the Ayurveda Academy and is the initiator, owner, head and an Ayurvedic consultant in Ayurvedic Massage and Consultant Studio, Satvika. Kotiji, can we have a video, please?
Namaste. I am Dr. Asta Keturkienė from Vilnius, Lithuania. To become a doctor was my dream since childhood. All my dolls were bandaged. I played doctors with my friends. I graduated from Kaunas Medical Institute and started to work in intensive care unit and admission office. At first I felt in my place, but later it became clear that the chemicals did not influence in a course of diseases. I was shocked and had a spiritual crisis. I was disappointed. I was in dilemma to live dreaming of medicine or to swallow the bitter truth and to continue to work for social guarantees. I began to search for answers, participated in various teaching until 28. I got a creator's gift. I met Ayurveda. I studied at Ayurveda Academy in Lithuania, in Vilnius. More than 400 students studied in our academy since 26. I have been teaching Ayurveda at Ayurveda Academy in Lithuanian together with doctors from Jiva Institute already for 8 years. I had a practice in Jiva Institute in Ayurveda too, and I remember my first Ayurveda lecture. Inner me was nodding in agreement, but the distrustful mind was resisting and trying to discredit it. I was observing our teacher, Dr. Pratap Chogan, how this figure is and face color look like, where his eyes come, how he formulated his thoughts, what about his memory, was he irritated by foolish questions as I thought about them at that moment, what was he doing during breaks, peacefully answering to the questions or looking for doping. At last my mind was forced to give up because teacher's eyes were calm, memory and concentration were excellent. The unity of his humility, high intelligence and visually good health disarmed my mind. On December 21, 2012, during a promised end of world, my husband Vytautas and I founded Satvika. It's a studio of Ayurvedic massage and consultations. I give consultation sessions by combining knowledge from modern medicine and Ayurveda. We both perform Ayurvedic massage and some other procedures like Kativasti, like Shirodhara, Nasyakarma, Potli, Karnaporna. My husband constantly inspired, encouraged, supports me, and I am incredibly grateful to him for this. Ayurveda changed his life too. He left his profession of architect and became an Ayurvedic therapist. I was stunned by the science of Ayurveda, deep logical knowledge. I had no idea how it is possible to connect seemingly so different things, like, for example, blighting, fresh cabbage, anxiety, cold limbs. The sacredness of knowledge, which has been given for ages and so safe, or sensitivity of knowledge ensured by parampara. It is given from teacher to students. The holistic approach of the oldest medicine, allowing us to see the patient not through keyhole but through the widely opened door. Sutra 1548, Sushruta Samhita, the ancient treatise of Ayurveda, provides very comprehensive definition of the health. We would look at a person holistically. He has not only physical body, but also senses, mind, intellect, ego, and soul. False identification with our body leads to disease. It was new for me. The benefits of Ayurveda in my doctor practice. Requirement for my morality, spiritual practice, which cultivate intuition. The importance of spreading the knowledge. If I want my words to have Shakti or energy, no doubt I must practice myself. I must speak truth, help fatal patients to prepare for the living by praying together, speaking about great another life. I had not been taught about that culture before. Therefore, I did not know how to deal with terminal patients and experience deep stress number of times. For many years, I thought I was behaving nobly by not allowing such patients to suffer, both physically and spiritually. When I started to work in intensive care unit, every day 1, 2, or 3 patients a day left their bodies. I was afraid of eyes full of suffering. I thought I was doing a good job of taking medicine to put the dying to sleep. Only thanks to Ayurveda and Vedas I realized that maybe I took the opportunity from them to pray, rethink about their life, apologize someone. Ayurveda teaching that the root cause of disease is disregard from a healthy mind, knowledge of lifestyle, of nutrition according to constitutional type, times of day and year, 6 stage of disease and so on, helps me a lot in my work of a doctor. News about my duties, I like to explain the reason of disease to patients and my rights to refuse to treat someone who does not want to change anything in his life. I give lectures in Lithuania and foreign Lithuanian communities, share sacred knowledge in media. I have my own YouTube channel. Its name is Asta Turkenia. I'm dreaming about Panchakarma Center in Lithuania, in my country. Thanks to Ayurveda, my life meaningful even in such a page. In my youth, I would think contrarily, what would I do when my children grew up? It will be boring to live. Now I cannot remember when did I said that is nothing to do. I am so grateful that I did not overpass the sacred knowledge of Ayurveda. Our work results are inspiring. On the other hand, I face a knowledge shortage in my practice. That is why I feel hungry for deeper knowledge. I am very happy to feel part of global Ayurveda. Thanks for that, God, Shri Dhanmantri and organizers. Namaste. Thank you.
So our last video message that we have today is from Fatima. She's been studying Ayurveda in Brazil and India for over 10 years. She's also a scholar and a teacher, and also organizes courses that promote health awareness and self-care through the principles of Ayurveda. She's a professor of integrative and complementary practices and naturopathy, as well as she teaches in the Inanis Institute in partnership with the Faculty of Health Technology. Kotichi, can we please have this video?
Hi there, people. Namaskaram. I hope you are well when this message finds you. My name is Fatima. I am Ayurvedic practitioner. I am from Brazil, and I am here to talk a little bit about my experience with Ayurveda. My English is not very good, so I will read a little to express myself better. I am started studying Ayurveda in 2010 here in Brazil, and in 2013 I went to India for the first time, where I took an intensive 30 days course at AVP. And when I first arrived at AVP, I felt at home, as if I were at my ancestors' house, as if I were coming home. As a patient, student, and therapist of this knowledge, Ayurveda has been a way of finding myself, self-healing, searching for a lot of self-knowledge, a lot of learning, a way where I search of my truth, my essence, where I find many answers, where I ask a lot of questions, where I find hope for better days, for a better world, where people can find comfort, where they can seek healing at all levels, where they can find more awareness of what life really is, where they can find a north to understand nature and its own nature. It's a knowledge and philosophy that shows us a way back to our home, connecting with the knowledge of our ancestors, regardless of which culture we come from. When we are able to get in touch with this essence of Ayurveda, we can find a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, and nature cure. In my understanding, the teachings of Ayurveda help us to get in touch with our deepest memories, with all our inner wisdom, to find the answers to many of our individual and collective mysteries, to better understand our deep connection with the all, with the nature. In my feelings, it's like a modern science where you can sit down in front to listen in attention, happiness and careful, where you can remember who you really are. This is how I perceive Ayurveda since my last trip to India last year during 5 months, when I had the joy and honor of being at AVP, Vaidya and Dr. Lad Institute. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you so much. So we had a lot of messages from across the world, and it's always heartening to see how Ayurveda is being integrated in its own ways by different people. So we come closer to the end of the session, but before that, we have Dr. Ram Kumar who's joined us. Little introduction to Dr. Ram Kumar, the words fall short. He's an alumnus of the Ayurveda College, Coimbatore, and is the grandson of Arya Vaidyan P.V. Rama Vaidya, the founder of the AVP group of institutions in Coimbatore. He's currently the director and trustee on the board of different institutions under the AVP umbrella. He's the founder director of Vaidya, which attempts to cater to the demand of authentic Ayurveda, the traditional way, as well as go natural in the contemporary mode. Welcome, Dr. Ram Kumar, and over to you.
Namaste to all of you. It's indeed nice to see many familiar faces, Dr. Dhaval, Dhru, Elizabeth Ibsen, Dr. Abhishek, Joshi, and others. I believe that this has been truly a festival for the last 1 month celebrating Ayurveda. And I was looking forward to viewing the short film made by Rukmini Vijay ji. Unfortunately, I joined in a little late. But a few days back, she was explaining to some of us the concept of the film. And I found it quite fascinating that she was actually talking about the 5 elements and the emergence of Lord Dhanmantri from the ocean, which basically symbolizes the emergence of Ayurveda. I would like to dwell a little bit on the metaphorical significance of Lord Dhanmantri as explained to us by some of our teachers. In this whole visual of the gods and the demons churning the ocean, using a mountain and a snake as the rope around the mountain, and finally, after poison and many other terrible things emerge, finally Dhanmantri emerges with the pot of nectar. One of our teachers tell us that the gods represent the bhakti element in us, the element of universal unconditional love, or the element of positivity in us. And the demons represent our innumerable emotions, as spoken by Vagbhata as raga, ragadi, all of the negative part of the mind. And the ocean itself represents our mind. The mountain, Mandara, that is used to churn this ocean, represents the buddhi, or the discerning intellect. And the snake, Vasuki, which is used to tie around the mountains as the churning rope, represents abhyasa, or relentless practice. So when the mind, that is the ocean, is continually churned by the discerning intellect through continuous practice, gradually all the negativity comes out of us, and the visha, or the poison that comes out from the ocean, actually represents our ahankar, or ego. And once the ahankar or ego leaves us, that is when Dhanmantri, or the healer, emerges with the pot of nectar. So the healer in each one of us is awakened only through this process. As the Srimad Bhagavatam will say, avidya, aviveka, and ahankara. Ignorance, absence of the discerning intellect, and the ego. All three of them have to leave us for Dhanmantri to awaken within us. And this is possible only through practice or abhyasa. We can theorize all we want, we can philosophize all we want, but unless we get down to practice, to application in our daily lives, maybe we cannot apply everything all of a sudden, but even if we can introduce some of these concepts that we have been exposed to over the last 1 month and keep applying, keep discovering, keep rediscovering different facets by which we can always be healthy and happy, there is no use studying any of this knowledge. Ultimately, all of the Veda Parampara is about application, is about practice. Patanjali will use the word abhyasa. Ayurveda will use the word achara. All of them repeatedly emphasize on the need for continual practice. So if this Ayushman festival has inspired at least a few of us to delve deep into at least some of the practices over the next few weeks, months, years, then I would think this festival has really been a success. I must congratulate all of the organizers, especially Vijay Kumar ji, who, despite having gone through a turbulent time, has been a continuous source of inspiration for this festival. Hari Kiran ji is there, who's always supported the festival, and the many others who have worked continually for the last few months to bring this festival to all of us. Thank you so much once again. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ram Kumar, for your warm words and your continuous support. The festival is a grand success due to your continuous support to us. We will now have Ms. Elizabeth Abeson speak a few words. Elizabeth, are you here?
Yes.
Yeah,
hello.
you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. I just wanted to thank you so much. I wanted to thank all the organizers for bringing us together, bringing the global Ayurvedic community together. As Dr. Ram Kumar said, it's beautiful to see faces and souls from around the world. I feel like we're all kindred spirits, and I do hope that this opportunity to get together today really is leveraged so that we all stay in close touch, and so we can have further collaboration, establish dialogue between different countries, as well as between different healing modalities. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Elson. May I request Hari Kiran ji, founder of Center for Soft Power and of Indic Academy, to say a few words.
Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Thank you very much to all our collaborators, AVP, Dr. Ram Kumar, for the festival and bringing together so many speakers. It has been a wonderful journey over the last 1 month. I would also like to say a few words about the kind of emotions Akka had to go through during this very, very troubling phase in her life. And yet she was at the back to ensure that this festival went through smoothly. Just in terms of, it's almost a month since the incident happened. And I would all like us to spare some time this evening reflecting on how there's a loss and there's a regeneration that happens, and what both Vijayalakshmi and Rukmini have gone through. Please have them in your thoughts as we go along. Art is, like Rukmini was explaining, in visual arts especially, you have the figurative elements of visual arts. And then you have the distortions, or you have the exaggeration kind of phase. From there, you move to an abstraction. And from the abstraction, you go to conceptual. It is even more subtle than an abstraction. In abstraction, at least you see a hint. But in a conceptual art, it is a multi-layered kind of a experience. What you see at the first level, and then it stays with you, and it stays with you, and then there's an aha moment. There's a liberative kind of a feeling. What Rukmini has done today is she has done an art film using art. So you have the mass films, and then you have the art films which which are more authentic. Today we have seen something very beautifully crafted. And she has, at one level, she has used the figurative part of it, where Dhanmantri rises out of the ocean and the turbulence she goes through. But at the same time, there's a lot of conceptual elements that she has used, trying to synthesize the essence of Ayurveda to balance, and balancing the elements, and how she has portrayed that in the film is something which is an extraordinary visual delight. So I would like to wholeheartedly congratulate Rukmini for this endeavor, going through such troubling times to come up with such kind of a conceptually beautiful film. I really applaud you, Rukmini. You could have chosen a easier way out for you, but to take this more difficult path, truly, I must applaud you. What you have done is you have opened doors. So when somebody watches this film, it's at the first, it's a visual film, it's beautifully made. But what you've done is you've planted a seed. You've planted a seed in all of us for us to go within and explore the world of Ayurveda. That is what you have achieved through this film. It is not just a visual treat, but it is a spiritual treat. It is at a subtle and causal level that you have impacted. So I would like to congratulate you on this fine achievement, and also Akka for standing with her. And this has been a truly a troubling and a difficult time for all of us. But maybe this film is a signal for all of us to revive ourselves, to again come out of the ocean, maybe the ocean of sorrow, just come out of it and start our lives again. So I thank you for this symbolic treat that you've given us, both on Ayurveda itself, as well as at this juncture where we are. So thank you very much. I thank all our team at Softpa, Aparna, Varsha, Arunima, all of you, you work very hard. supporting Akka in all her work. So thank you very much, all our collaborators. Thank you for all the audience who've been with us in all these 5 weeks. Thank you very much.
Dr. Somit?
Yeah, so on behalf of AVP fraternity and family, I think I really feel very humbling, and I want to share my gratitude and thank each and every one of our collaborators across the globe for, in fact, enthusiastically participating and sharing their own journey in field of Ayurveda and how Ayurveda has made a change in their life or has given a mission in their life. I would like to really draw inspiration from our mentor Krishna Kumar ji, and ably guided by Ram Kumar ji for having inspired all of us and keep our focus to properly curate this whole event. So I would like to also thank all my colleagues who worked as a team under guidance of Ram Kumar ji, and with the never-ending attitude at soft power, we all as a team had been able to highlight and give glimpse of what Ayurveda in store for the whole world. And I hope this collaboration will continue, and we are already looking at creating different avenues where we can work together and bring the cause of Ayurveda to the forefront in the global community. And as Hariji told that it's just a beginning of something which we have been thinking together. And Vijay Lakshmi ma'am, I really get inspired by you, that in spite of all your odds in your personal life, we are sure that whatever the seed is sown with this festival will make fruition as a big tree, and we would make the vision of Ayurveda and mission of soft power and AVP and vision of Krishna Kumar ji as global as possible. Thank you, one and all.
Namaskar. And before we end, I just thought I have to say a few words. When we thought of the Ayurveda Day celebration, at first we were thinking of a one-day program. But then we thought that in Indic, we have the strength of so many different organizations coming from so many different aspects of our civilizational thought. And so we said, why not we all get together? And it's been a beautiful journey where all the organizations of Indic have gotten together with all the organizations of AVP. When I first spoke to Krishna Kumar, not Krishna Kumar ji, Ram Kumar ji, it was, I didn't expect that we would take it to this fruition of, 5 weekends. And the journey has been so beautiful because we have come together with so many people who are so enthusiastic and so passionate about Ayurveda. Because, I believe that Ayurveda, Vedanta, yoga, all of this is just a part of the same whole of our Sanatana Dharma. And I must say that, yes, it has been a trying month, but all this has helped me get through it. And I really would like to take forward the legacy that Vijay Kumar has left behind and the support that he has given. I know I will look for that support from all of you. And we are also looking at a long-term relationship with AVP, and I'm sure that's all going to go very well. I thank our Indic team. I thank Hari. And once again, I thank all the sponsors who came forward so willingly to make this Ayurveda film happen. I mean, it really feels kind of strange now that, you know, tomorrow we are not going to be making these million calls to our, our collaborators from AVP and, you know, ask them now, who's the speaker today? Who's the speaker there? And, you know, all this conversation, I hope that, you know, it will go forward in a great manner, and, you know, we are able to do something for this great country of ours. We would like to end with the National Anthem. So I request all of you to rise in your places, and Kotiji.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय